Healing begins the moment you stop explaining your pain to people who caused it. You weren't asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. Stop opening your heart to those who treat it like an option. You are not a backup plan. Your clarity will cost you connections. Let it. You gave them everything. And still they craved less. That's not your fault. The right love will not demand your silence or sacrifice. It will invite your truth. Just because they come back doesn't mean they're meant to stay. You were not abandoned. You were redirected to where love lives. They saw your soul and still chose to walk away. Let that teach you everything you need to know. Stop apologizing for evolving. Growth isn't meant to keep everyone comfortable. You are not cold. You've just learned to protect warmth from unworthy hands. Sometimes the goodbye was your soul saving itself. You are allowed to be too much for people who are too little. The one who deserves you will not fear your depth. They will dive with you. You didn't waste love. You practiced courage. Let them go. Some people were only chapters, not the whole story. You won't find peace in places where your presence was tolerated. Stop missing people who never learned how to hold you. The love you deserve doesn't require proving. You didn't break. You transformed. Quietly, powerfully. Stop mourning the version of love that hurt. Love didn't fail you. Someone did. You can still be soft and say no. Boundaries are sacred. You're not healing wrong. You're just finally feeling everything. The ones who ghosted you blessed you with space. Fill it with better. Letting go is loving yourself more than the idea of what could have been. They weren't emotionally unavailable. They were emotionally dishonest. Stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. Growth isn't a crime. Your past was a lesson, not a definition. You owe yourself the love you kept giving away. Some wounds don't need to close perfectly. They need to remind you of what not to reopen. Healing isn't about being untouched. It's about being whole anyway. Stop chasing explanations. Peace lives in acceptance. If they confuse you, they're not your clarity. Your light scares people who never faced their darkness. Love that feels like punishment isn't love. Some endings are actually beginnings in disguise. You don't need fixing. You need understanding. Stop letting guilt bring you back to pain. You've changed, and that's what scared them. They lost you the moment they made you question your worth. The real ones don't require chaos to feel seen. Some people love the idea of you, not the reality. Stop writing stories for people who refuse to read you. You were never the villain. You were the mirror. Growth hurts because you're shedding who you're not. Your sensitivity is a language, not a flaw. Not every ending needs closure. Some just need acceptance. You didn't walk away empty. You left with truth. You're not too much. You're just not for those who only know half love. Let your peace be the goodbye. No explanation needed. You stopped reaching out, not because you stopped caring, but because you realized they never reached back. They didn't break your heart. They revealed the parts of you that still needed healing. Some people will only love you when you're silent. Stay loud. They didn't change. You just finally stopped pretending they were someone they're not. You can't be both the healer and the one begging to be healed. Choose you. Your soul craves truth, not attention. That's why shallow love never satisfies you. Stop calling it love when it constantly drains you. Love refills, not empties. You didn't lose your value in their absence. You found your reflection without their distortion. Don't let the love you never received become the standard you accept. Sometimes growth feels like loneliness, but it's just space clearing for something truer. You're not hard to love. You just stopped accepting half-hearted efforts. The right people won't ask you to dim down your fire. They'll stand in its warmth. Healing is not becoming invincible. It's learning how to be soft without falling apart. Stop going back to where you had to beg to feel seen. Let them call you cold, only because your boundaries no longer serve their comfort. Some connections feel like home until you realize you are only renting peace. Don't confuse their attention with affection. Some only show up to keep you within reach, not close. Just because they meant a lot doesn't mean they were good for you. Closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. You didn't overreact. They underrespected you. Healing is unlearning the belief that pain is love. Stop explaining your boundaries. The right ones will respect them by default. Let them label you distant. You've simply learned how to protect your peace. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be real with the right person. Don't measure your worth by how much pain you can tolerate. Your silence is not indifference. It's growth. They didn't destroy you. They revealed what you've survived. The love you keep searching for. It begins with the way you speak to yourself. Stop dancing for validation in rooms that don't even have music. You're not too much. You're just not meant to be contained. Real love doesn't leave you questioning your own reflection. Sometimes love walks out so that peace can walk in. You didn't lose them. They lost someone who would have stayed. You deserve a love that doesn't make you question your value. Your growth will offend those committed to misunderstanding you. You are not here to convince anyone to see your worth. You are here to live it. Stop reopening conversations with people who only speak in confusion. Sometimes walking away is the loudest form of self-respect. The right love will never ask you to prove your pain. You don't owe them closure. You owe yourself peace. Some people only show up when you stop showing up for yourself. You weren't too emotional. You were just finally honest. Stop looking for your healing in the place that hurt you. You are not fragile. You are just finally choosing who gets to see your softness. Don't beg for love. Stand in it. If it's real, it won't leave. The silence after chaos? That's your freedom. They didn't outgrow you. You evolved out of their reach. Not all connections deserve closure. Some just need distance. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Stop sacrificing your soul for temporary companionship. You can love them and still let them go. That's maturity. Don't chase someone who makes you feel like a burden. Let them misunderstand you. You don't need to be understood to be valid. Stop looking for clarity in mixed signals. Confusion is a message in itself. They didn't ghost you. They made space for someone better. Your love was not wasted. It was proof of your heart's capacity. Being alone after peace is better than company in chaos. Don't confuse being wanted with being valued. You don't owe them another chance. You owe yourself protection. Stop shrinking your truth to make others comfortable. The more you love yourself, the less you'll beg for attention. You outgrew the version of you that needed to be chosen. Let go of people who only find you when it's convenient. Sometimes the red flags looked like home, because chaos was familiar. Stop calling it love if it costs your identity. Let them call you distant. You've simply reclaimed your energy. You don't have to prove you're enough. You already are. Stop blaming your heart. It broke in all the right places, so truth could finally echo through. You weren't rejected. You were redirected. The detour wasn't denial. It was divine protection in disguise. You keep waiting for closure, but it already came. It was in the silence, in the absence, in the moment they didn't choose you. Sometimes peace looks like letting go without needing an apology, because healing doesn't wait for permission. Your softness is not a weakness. It's the quiet strength that survives every storm without turning into one. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move while shaking. If you have to beg for their presence, you're not in their priority, and you never will be. Stop romanticizing people who never showed up for you. Memory is not reality. Nostalgia is not love. Not everyone leaves you empty. Some leave you so full of lessons, you never walk the same again. You weren't too much. They were simply not enough to meet you in your fullness. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding. You didn't lose them. You found yourself when they walked away. The version of you that had to survive everything? Honor them. But don't forget to become who they were fighting for. You stopped answering not because you're bitter, but because peace finally tasted better than chaos. Sometimes it's not closure you're missing. It's clarity, and that always comes from within. You didn't imagine the connection, but you did overstay your healing in their presence. Being alone isn't lonely. Begging for crumbs of love is. Don't chase. What's real doesn't need convincing. Only clarity. The right people don't make you question your worth. They remind you of it. Not everything that hurts is meant to stay. Sometimes pain is just the teacher, not the truth. You didn't fall apart. You broke open. There's a difference. When you stop trying to fix what broke you, you start fixing what allowed it to stay. They left so your soul could expand. Don't shrink for their memory. Love doesn't require sacrifice of self. It invites wholeness to meet wholeness. You're not too sensitive. You're just deeply tuned into what others silence. The ones who ghost you taught you presence. Through their absence. Your triggers are not enemies. They are messengers of wounds ready to be healed. Let them misunderstand you. Peace never argued its case to noise. Some goodbyes aren't spoken. They're felt in the way love stops showing up. You aren't cold. You're cautious. There's a difference. You didn't lose years. You gained wisdom disguised as pain. Sometimes self-respect sounds like silence, especially when they expect your reaction. The people who truly care don't leave you guessing. They leave you grounded. You deserve a love that doesn't feel like survival, one that lets you exhale. Don't confuse chemistry with compatibility. Fire burns fast, peace lasts. Sometimes healing is just learning how to stop explaining yourself, especially to those committed to misunderstanding you. You're not hard to love. You've just been giving your heart to the wrong kind of soft. Closure doesn't always come wrapped in words. Sometimes it arrives through peace. Your worth isn't negotiable, not even for someone you once prayed to keep. Stop reopening doors you locked for a reason. Healing needs boundaries, not bargaining. It wasn't love if you had to suffer to earn it. Real love never demands your silence. You're allowed to outgrow people who still think of you as your past, especially when you've already buried it. They broke your trust, not your ability to love. Don't punish your heart for someone else's mistake. Not all soulmates stay. Some arrive to awaken you, then leave so you can bloom. You owe no one your peace for their comfort. Protect your stillness. Stop making excuses for people who only show up in your loneliness. That's not love. That's convenience. Healing means learning how to be loved without first breaking. It's possible, and you're worth it. If their love requires your silence, it's not love. It's control disguised as care. Stop apologizing for your standards. They're the gates that protect your soul. Some people aren't your forever. They're your awakening. You didn't walk away too soon. You left when your soul finally stopped shrinking. Not everyone deserves access to you, especially those who treat your vulnerability as weakness. Stop trying to unbreak what already broke you. Some pieces aren't meant to be put back. Some are meant to be left behind. They weren't your home. They were the storm that reminded you how to build your own shelter. Just because it felt familiar doesn't mean it was love. Sometimes trauma feels like home, too. Your silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom finally speaking louder than your wounds. You can forgive someone and still never let them back in. Forgiveness isn't the same as access. Not all love stories are meant to last. Some are written to teach you how to love yourself better. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. That's sacred work. You weren't hard to love. They were just unwilling to rise to your depth. Stop waiting for their apology. The closure you need is the peace you choose. Not every "I miss you" deserves a reply, especially when silence speaks your growth louder. Your capacity to love deeply is not a flaw. It's a gift. Just stop giving it to those who can't hold it. You gave your all to someone who didn't know what to do with half. That's not on you. Letting go isn't weakness. Holding on to what hurts is. Your intuition wasn't wrong. You just didn't want the truth it kept whispering. They didn't outgrow you. They never grew to begin with. Love doesn't keep score. It shows up consistently and clearly. Stop trying to make it work when it only works when you suffer. That's not love. That's sacrifice. You were never hard to love. They just never learned how to see softness as strength. The absence of love taught you more than the illusion of it ever did. Peace isn't something you find in them. It's something you stop sacrificing to keep them. You didn't lose love. You lost the idea of it. The truth came after. They didn't change. You just finally saw them clearly. You deserve a love that doesn't confuse you. One that feels like home, not a guessing game. Every time you lower your standards, you teach your heart to settle. Stop negotiating with your worth. Healing isn't becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before the pain. They didn't break you. They exposed where you needed boundaries. Stop giving your loyalty to those who trade it for convenience. You deserve more than occasional love. You can't fix someone who benefits from staying broken. Walk away. Let healing begin with you. Not all love stories are gentle. Some break you to awaken the real one with yourself. Sometimes love doesn't leave. It just stops fighting to stay where it isn't fed. You outgrew the version of you who begged. That's evolution. Honor it. Being unavailable to toxicity isn't rudeness. It's self-respect. Stop calling it love when it feels like survival. Real love breathes. It doesn't suffocate. They didn't leave because you were too much. They left because your depth terrified their surface. You didn't lose time. You gathered truth. You don't have to explain your peace to people who thrive on chaos.